Hey there, guys. My name is Sarah Nadler. I'm a consultant and trainer here at Silkin. And this week I want to talk to you about the importance of training your office manager to really be a CEO for your business. Now, I'm also going to share with you 5 tips for how to manage your employees over the holidays. This is just one of the things that your manager should be able to do, right? We're going to talk about all the things that can go on because, as you know, the holidays can be super distracting. Families flying in from out of town, suddenly all your employees want to take time off at the same time, right? So how do we manage that? And how can being trained as an office manager really help them to do this? Well, let's find out. The first and foremost thing you should have from all of your employees is buy-in. Buy-in is essentially the concept of being responsible for the business, not just responsible for our own little piece of the pie, right? When you have buy-in from employees, they're being self-starting. They really think of the bigger picture and not just themselves. And this can be a key factor. And it really is one of the indicators that we here at Silkin look for when we're seeing whether or not your office manager is sufficiently trained. If they know and have tools for creating buy-in from your employees, they're trained. If they don't have a clue how to do this, there's probably a need for some more training in there. But I'll give you one tip you can use right now to actually start creating more buy-in. Actually, I'm going to give you 2. One is start encouraging your employees to interact with each other outside the business, right? When they are socially connected, when they consider themselves to be friends or at least friendly toward each other, they're a lot more likely to think with each other than they are if they are just coworkers. For example, if 2 employees want to take the same day off and they're supposed to be covering for each other for their time off, they're a lot more likely to settle it amicably if they're friends than if they're just basically strangers, right? Tip number two, I'm actually going to share a case study with you. We had a veterinarian recently who had some problems going on in the practice. And so we actually used surveys, right? That survey technology you learned at part A and part B. We used surveys to actually get the whole team on the same page. And I'm going to share with you the exact survey questions that we used. Number 1, how do you feel the practice is really doing? Number 2, what is your idea of the ideal we're working towards? Number 3, what is being done to achieve it? Number 4, do you feel we're making it? Number 5, does anything need to be changed so we can make it faster? Number 6, what do you feel you should know more about to get your job done? Number 7, what do you really need to get your job done? And number 8, what would you like to see us doing? By asking these in a confidential, fully anonymous survey, we can find the number 1 big thing that is bothering your team and actually then work with your consultant, right, to get underneath that to the root cause and solve it. So there's my number 1 tip for you this year on how to create buy-in with your employees. All right. Tip number 2, traditions equal culture. One of the things we all want, right, is a really strong practice culture because that practice culture has everything to do with how your team will interact with each other and also how they'll treat your patients or clients. So let's really define culture here. A culture is a way of thinking, behaving, or working that exists in a place or organization. So again, take a look at your office manager. Is he or she truly building a strong practice culture? One of the ways you can build a practice culture, which the holidays give us a great opportunity for this, is to actually build traditions, right? Like maybe everybody gets together and helps decorate for the holidays, or maybe there's a company party, right? These types of traditions are not meaningless. They really, truly put a culture there that will strengthen the teamwork that's going on in your practice. Number 3, equality and inclusion. This year, more than ever, of course, we are focusing on this, but I'm seeing too much of an emphasis on only doing this with our marketing, right? Like making sure your marketing is inclusive is obviously important. That's just good manners to your community. But think about it internally as well, right? Take a look at the way you're treating employees. Are some of them getting better treatment than others? That would not be equal, right? So really diving deep into this, especially around the holidays when people may have very different traditions or religious beliefs, and making sure we're being inclusive. That is very, very key. And again, it's a sign of a trained office manager that they know how to do this diplomatically in such a way that they aren't pitting some employees against others. All right, let's talk about toxicity. Toxicity obviously can exist within your practice if we hire the wrong person. If you fail to use that group hiring process, or you're not using all the filters that we have in our process, such as the tests, etc., you may deal with toxicity within the practice. But have you ever thought about the fact that toxicity can also come into the practice from outside? Especially during the holidays, this happens a lot. We have, your employee goes home for the holidays and sees Uncle Joey or Aunt Sue, who are maybe not the most delicate or the most supportive people in the world. And then they come back to work and all that toxicity comes with them. And suddenly we have a problem on our hands. So one of the best ways you can handle this is to, again, survey your employees and let them know the support system you have in the practice for dealing with toxicity. If they have a situation at home, they should have a specific person in your practice that they know they can talk to help them handle that situation if they want to. And again, that person had better be trained in how to handle toxicity. Hopefully it's your office manager, or if you're a really big practice, maybe you actually have an HR manager. But in most cases, this is going to fall on the office manager. And if they're not trained, it's going to fall on your plate. So one more reason, right? The last tip I have for you for managing employees over the holidays is really building teamwork into your practice. And the key to all teamwork is commonality of purpose. When we all feel like we've got vectors aligned, we're going the same direction, you're going to see a lot more teamwork in your business, in your practice, than if people are some people are just there to clock in, clock out, and others are just working their little selves to the bone, right? We need to have that commonality of purpose. So one of the best ways you can handle this over the holidays specifically is bring it up, right? In your staff huddles, in your staff meetings, every morning when you meet up with your team, really letting them know, hey guys, don't forget the reason why we want to hit these targets is, right? And mention that common purpose you have. And here's a tip. If you did that survey that I talked about in the first tip, you will have the answer to what is your team's common purpose. What do they all have in common? What is their why, their reason for coming to work every day? And you can talk about that, and that will absolutely foster more teamwork amongst your guys, all right? So I hope you found these tips helpful. Happy holidays. And if you want, you can absolutely sign up your office manager for more training here at Silkin. We've got lots of video training available now with 2020. And again, we really look forward to seeing you here in Portland again someday. Hopefully that will happen soon. Talk to you next time.